Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of A Journey Unlike Any Other. Over the next year, I will be sitting down with my wife, Becky D. That is the guest that we have here. Say hi. She's also known as Becky D. Beauty for those in the makeup industry that might know her. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be uncovering her incredible story of resilience and faith. Just to let you know, Becky's journey is one of survival through unimaginable pain, finding hope in music, and ultimately becoming a light for others. Tonight, we are starting with her childhood. Growing up in a turbulent home, facing bullying and struggles that shaped her teen years, this story will be a story of pain, survival, and perseverance. So we are going to begin. For those of you that are just checking in here, just chiming on, we are going to be starting this podcast series called A Journey Unlike Any Other. And basically, I will be interviewing, starting here with my wife, but then we'll be doing others later on. And at the end of this journey, at the end of this podcast, we will take everything that we learned from talking with Becky and put that into a book. So if there's anybody that's ever been interested in writing down their story, but they don't know how to do it, that's what we do. We'd be happy to work with you. Just put a comment in the comment section and throw us a heart or something like that. We'll get at you. We'd be happy to work with you. But just so you can hear how it's going to go, I will be working tonight with my wife, Becky, and you will see exactly what kind of questions and what kind of, how does this come out? So before we get any deeper, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first episode, and it's going to be taking part in the first part of her life. So, Becky, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you for agreeing to do this with me. Of course you live with me, you're my husband, but the journey has been a crazy one. It's been a turbulent one, but it has also been one that's grown me a lot. And so I'm very excited to share everything because, like the Bible says, there is power in our testimony. And that's something that I want to share with the world because, as you are going to learn my story and it unfolds, if there's anything that resonates with somebody, you know what I mean? Hopefully it touches lives and it encourages others to just, share what they've been through as well.
So again, this is going to be a full book when we get to the end of it, but right now we're going to start, and let's start off with the very beginning, your very early life. What is the earliest thing that you can remember? What was your upbringing like?
My upbringing, well, I'm an old lady. No, 1981 was the year, December 23rd to be exact, and that was the day that I was born. From what I know, again, when you're a baby, you only know what they tell you, right? But of course, yes, my birth certificate does back it up. I was born here in San Antonio, Texas. I lived here, my goodness, until I was about 3 or so. And then because of my dad's employment or employer, they got transferred to, I lived in Green River, Wyoming, till I was about 6. And then same thing, something happened with my dad's job and we got relocated back to Texas. But instead of San Antonio, I grew up all the way until I was 18 in Corpus Christi, Texas. So that's kind of the jumping point. So I've kind of lived, even from an early age, kind of moved around and whatnot. But a constant in my life, baby Becky, I absolutely loved my cartoons. Back during those days, even with all the moving and stuff, something that was constant was, my favorite television shows, my favorite cartoons. I was a very avid fan of Gem and the Holograms, Rainbow Bright. Oh my gosh, what else was on at that time? The live action shows that I loved was, of course, Pee Wee Herman, right? The Pee Wee's Playhouse, and Ernest P. Worrell. Y'all remember the Ernest P. Worrell show? I forgot exactly what it was called, but Ernest P. Worrell. That stuff made me laugh back in the day. So that's kind of early baby Becky. Like I said, cartoons is kind of what got me through the early years. I am the baby of my family. I have an older brother named Raul. Um, my my mom and dad have been very hardworking people all my lives. My dad was in the Air Force Reserves as well as he worked for Exxon. I don't even know if Exxon exists anymore, does it? I think it merged with something else as of today, right? I'm not sure. Anyways, and my mom, for the longest time, I remember my mom having just different jobs. I remember when we lived in Wyoming, she worked for like a video store, which was crazy because, you know, all of the video titles around, and you get to be the first one when the new, you know, movies drop and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool going with my mom to work for that. Um, what else?
So, what was your family like as a child? What was your family life like as a child?
My family life, oh, for lack, it was pretty normal as far as you know. I had my mom and my dad, and like I said, I have an older brother. Um, it was difficult though. My dad worked very hard, so he was gone a lot of the time. So mostly, you know, my early years was, you know, me, my mom, my brother, you know. And like I said, for us, it's very normal to always be, you know, doing something, right? Whether it's having a job or, you know, um, having to help out around the house. You know, from a very early age, my parents always had me and my brother um, I like that, you know, like kind of just not being used to just sitting around the house, right? My dad, like I said, my dad was a military man, so you know, we weren't allowed to sleep all day, right? By 8 o'clock, you got to be up, you got to be doing something, you got to make sure your bed's made and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, like
So this kind of goes with my next question, which is, you know, the kind of relationship you have with your parents. But
mhm.
along that line of what you were just saying, I do remember a Christmas story.
Oh, like what the my what I got for Christmas one year, my absolute favorite Christmas. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, one of the, yeah, about having to get up and work and do all that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, 'cause that's kind of skipping around. That would have been when I was a little bit older, but yeah, you know, so we even have you know, even on Christmas Day, you know, get up, go do some lawn work. You know, and so it's just like, yeah, you know, my dad was just very I can't say it was a bad thing because yeah, that's what developed me as today as an adult, you know. Uh if you see something to be done, if you can help, get up and do something, right? So yeah, back then it like yeah, it didn't matter if it was Christmas, holiday or whatever. If my dad was like, "Hey, go do the lawn," even though it's Christmas Day, you know, we did it, you know. um let's see what else. Oh, and then something that was fun when I was little is my dad was one of those guys like, you know, he we had to have like the latest whatever the technologies was at the time, you know what I'm saying? So I remember getting our very first Nintendo game system. It was well to me as a little kid, this huge box, right, with the Nintendo and it came with the controllers and the gun for duck hunt, right? So that, you know, my dad, whatever the latest thing he would be bringing home, I remember him bringing home our very first CD player, which again, huge back then when all these, you know, new technologies were coming out. They were huge. I mean, size wise and popularity wise. But I remember my very first CD. It was Gloria Stefan CD, and I remember the CDs used to come with care instructions. Do you remember that? Like it would tell you, oh, make sure you don't get fingerprints and make sure you wipe it and this and that, right? Um,
It was a couple of months till that CD would be in a drawer somewhere.
yeah, right. um, so yeah, I got so it was a good balance of things as far as that goes. Like, yeah, we had to do hard work, but then my dad's always coming home with the latest gadgets and whatnot. So that was cool.
So, what kind of relationship did you have with your parents at that point?
At that point, it was, just very parent kid relationship is just as far as, like it was very much you don't speak until you're spoken to type of upbringing, when grown-ups are in the room, you don't interrupt. Um which is a stark contrast with how I am with my kids today, you know what I mean? Like it was just like very very trying to think of the right way to say it. It was just like that. Like, of course they took care of me. Of course they loved me. Of course they played with me. But, the majority of the time it's grown up time. So if they're busy, if they're on the phone, if they're doing something, you leave them alone. You don't talk to them. You don't interrupt them, you know. Um, so it was just very much like that. So I didn't have like a closeness, you could say, with them. But I know and I was able to trust that they took care of me. You know what I mean?
So, did you feel that you had a safe and supportive environment at home, or was it a difficult one?
Um, I'm trying to choose my words correctly. Like I said, I love my mom and dad. um, it was kind of it was just difficult having to deal with you're a little kid, and when if your parents are fighting and arguing and stuff, you don't really understand or know what's going on. And looking back through adult eyes, I can understand. My dad was probably going through a lot of stresses. My mom was probably going through a lot of stresses. So there would be times where it was kind of crazy. Um, but like I said, overall, it was they. My parents loved me and they took care of me.
Did your mom and dad fight a lot?
uh, kind of. Yeah, it was not always peaceful. We'll just say that.
Compared to me and you.
Oh, compared to me and you,
Or how about this? Me and you in our prior relationship first, or me and you now?
prior prior relationship, us, yeah. But
Well,
again, there was a lot of stuff I
we
didn't
now as
understand because I'm
adults.
a little kid.
Yeah, as we see now as adults, things are hard.
Yeah, yeah, right. Stresses hit you, and but I get what was kind of hard back then is because it's like all I know is there's these explosions happening, quote unquote, as far as arguments and this and that, and it's not like anybody would take the time to like talk to me and be like, hey, it's gonna be okay, and we were whatever, like just to like restore the peace. There was never that time to have the peace restored or to like make me feel better after stuff like that would happen. You know what I mean? So that was kind of hard to process.
Well, before we get into some more, let me invite all our followers, everybody watching right now, share it, like it, throw some hearts on it. Get it out there. We want others to hear. Somebody out there is going to be touched by Becky's message here.
Amen. And feel free to make sure you can follow my profile as well, the Becky D Beauty. I need as many followers as I can get. I appreciate the support for everything that we got going on this year and beyond.
So you talked about you were born here in San Antonio. Now let's get into that. There's some other family we need to talk about. Why were you born here in San Antonio?
What? What was
Why
that?
were you born here in San Antonio?
Why was I born here in San Antonio? Because this is my roots. This is where our family was established well before I was born. um, both my mom and my dad have parents that ultimately ended up in San Antonio after my mom on my mom's side of the family. My grandfather was in the Air Force, and so when my mom was little, she traveled around the world, military brat, as they say, and they settled back down here in San Antonio. My dad's side of the family as well ended up, settling down here in San Antonio. So I've got many, many generations here that are my family, both on my mom and my dad's side. So it was, growing up in Corpus was a little bit difficult for me because I felt very alone, right? Because we would always come to San Antonio, like I said, because my dad, he was in the Air Force Reserves at the time, and you know how it works. It's 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, So once a month we're coming here to San Antonio, and I would long for the time of living here because I just felt so alone in Corpus, without like family or any kind of relation, you know, close to me or, anything like that. And back then, it's not like today, like we have, Facebook and other social media outlets as a way to like connect and whatnot, It was very separate.
And so you had grandparents over here in San Antonio?
Yes.
And so can you share some memories of your time with your grandparents?
Oh man, you're gonna make me cry. Yes, absolutely. Um, my grandparents were very, very hardworking people. My grandmother was a bilingual preschool teacher. And my grandfather, like I said, he was in the Air Force as well. And when he retired, um, he went on to work at Lackland, fixing the air conditioning systems, right? So that's what I knew about them. My grandpa was just like me, very loud, very passionate. My grandma, oh my God, she took care of everybody from morning to night. She made sure everybody, had the meals and everything was clean. And um, they were just very, very awesome people that helped helped me become the woman that I am today. And I'm crying right now because unfortunately they're no longer here with us, and I miss them very, very deeply. But like I said, their example that they left for me of taking care of the family and working hard. And, my grandfather built the house that they lived in um, for many, many years, and that's just the kind of person that he was. It was like if there was something to be done, he would do it, or he knew people who could do it, and then my grandma and grandpa were my biggest supporters when I had started pursuing music back in the day when I was about 12, 13 years old. They were my biggest supporters. My grandpa called me his shooting star. And just they were very, very awesome people. And I'm glad that I got to learn from them.
And would you say that your love of music came from them, or where did it come from?
Man, that's crazy. You know what? I can't even say where I got it from. I don't know. My family wasn't very musical like that. You know, I, from a very early age, my, um, I guess musical influences, if you will, um, like I said, I was very into all the 80s cartoons, specifically that Gem and the Holograms, right? If you go and look up what Gem and the Holograms was, is basically, it was about um, a rock star, right? A rock star with her friends and whatnot, making music and music videos and saving the day through their talents, right? But I actually had wanted to be an actress. You know, I pursued theater. I pursued that type of thing. I didn't even think music was anything that I could do. You know what I mean? I wanted to do it, but I didn't know if it was something that I really could do. You know, I had no training. I had no, influences like that, like family members at that time, doing music or singing or anything. So that just it came out of curiosity, really, because I had been practicing a Selena song, right, back in the day. And when she had first passed away, I was living in Corpus Christi. Like I said, I was 12 or 13 at the time, and I had heard of Selena before, and she was actually the week that she passed away. She was supposed to be um, doing a school performance at my school, at my middle school. So I had heard of a lot of her songs. One of my favorite songs from her was her English song "Missing My Baby," right? Because I don't really know a lot of Spanish. That's why I wasn't too familiar with anything else but that. You know what I mean? But yeah, Selena passed away, and yeah, of course she was all over the place. They're playing her music, and it got me curious. It got me curious, and I had the Amor Prohibido album. And yeah, I wanted to see if I could do it. I started learning the song and singing along with it and stuff, and trying to gain the courage to, what am I going to do with this? You know what I mean? Am I going to use this talent or what, And my curiosity got the best of me one day when we were here visiting San Antonio, and my grandparents were having this fall fest. No, it was a Cinco de Mayo festival. There we go. Are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, cool. um, it was a Cinco de Mayo festival, and they had music playing, right? And they had made an announcement at the beginning of that festival. They're like, oh, if anybody wants to try their hand at singing, just let us know, right? And as soon as I heard that, I was like, this is my chance. I'm gonna do it. Again, I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I remember asking my mom, can you go ask the man if I can sing? And my mom, she did not help me. My mom said, if you want to sing, you need to go ask the man yourself. Ugh, right? I was like, no, do it for me, mom, please, right? But yeah, so I ended up going, and I got the courage, and it was an older gentleman. He like the age of my grandparents at the time. He was probably like in his 60s and stuff. And he had this old with like big giant knobs, and just it was like probably something from like the 70s or something. It didn't look like any of the music equipment I had ever seen. But anyway, so I had asked him. I was like, "Excuse me, sir," right? And so, yeah, he got the music and gave me a microphone with a big puffy windscreen on it, right? And yeah, so they stop all the regular music, and they make the announcement. And the man's, oh, okay, we've got the granddaughter of Saul and Beatrice out here. Here's Becky Morales, right? That's my maiden name, Mireles, right? And so I grabbed the microphone, and this is like, it's a little tiny church here on the west side of San Antonio. It's called St. Gabriel. And they had it set up like on a blacktop, right? So I go and I stand in the middle of the blacktop, and I got scared because everybody stopped what they were doing. They came from the games, and they came from the carnivals, and they came to watch me. And man, this is why I tell everybody, if you have an itch to do something, like you feel led or called to sing or whatever it is, right? Just do it. just take that first step. It's not always going to be success right away, right? Because that very first performance, even though I had practiced that song over and over again, I knew the words back and forth. I didn't know and I didn't realize how bad nervousness can take your breath away. So, yeah, I get up to start singing and my voice goes this high and I couldn't keep my breath. It was just a terrible first run, but I got through the whole song. I did it all the way through. The people were still nice and they clapped for me and stuff. And I was just like, at first I kind of felt like embarrassed and like, oh my God, what did I do? But, you know, after that feeling goes away, I'm sitting there thinking about it and I was like, I got to do that again. I was hooked. I was like, trying to figure out and think about how can I do better? How can I be better next time? And that's where it all started for me with the music. I just wanted to see if I could do it.
What'd you think after it?
Oh, I was hooked. Like I said, because it fit in perfectly with my dreams to be an actress, to be on, you know, doing, you know, drama and stuff like that. Um, like I said, I had this nagging inside of me of like, you can do better, you can be better, you can, you know, learn to, you know, your breathing. You know, I just wanted to do better. I wanted to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just from there I started getting into like different talent show organizations and stuff. I kept on trying to find people, programs, um, just any kind of resources that I could use to just help me to become a better singer, better performer, and just to learn my craft, you know. And which it was very difficult back then. Again, we didn't have everything that we have today. There was no YouTube to find out how do you become a singer. There was no anything like that. I had to just look and ask and just like do stuff.
Wait, you couldn't just use your iPhone to produce, record, and release a record
Absolutely
in
not.
the
No,
same
back
day
then
like I can do it now? Come on.
you
Come
had to
on.
have third party something. That's why people were got into some really bad deals signing their lives away to record labels, you know, because back then like you needed it.
All right, all right. So before we get too far, because there's some other stuff here, and again, remember this is your story, your book. You tell people what you want to know, but I know there's going to be a little jumping around here, and
Yeah.
I want to keep it as straight as possible. But in this time of learning to sing and getting on stage and doing this for the first time and getting onto the plays like you were saying and stuff like that, we were dealing with some bullying as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's actually I'm amazed at myself that I even had the courage to, you know, get out the boat as they say, right? Walk on water, right? um During that time, yeah, it was really hard for me to pursue those dreams because I was severely bullied in school all the way from starting in first grade, and it didn't relent until I had to drop out of school in high school. You know, I was well, just look, I was the little girl who was taller than everybody, bigger than everybody, um, dark skin, um, just I didn't know I was that different until people told me. You know what I mean? Um, and it was really a culture shock moving from Wyoming back here to Corpus, right? When I lived in Wyoming, I didn't have the problems that I did when I came back to Texas. You know, school, I enjoyed school when I was, you know, little and whatnot. But when I moved here back to Texas, they hated me. They hated me. They called me the N word. They refused to play with me. They, man, I was hit, slapped, punched, um, and even bullied by teachers, unfortunately.